All right. Well, don't I look like a hippie? Okay, so I said I was going to make a video on how to properly partition a compact flash card to around the 2 GB size and get an image into it for use in hardware PC-98 computers. So, first step is partition your card using Windows. Now, the Windows disk management capability, at least in Windows 11, has a bug. It cannot partition the 2 GB successfully. I haven't exhausted all possibilities, but I ran it several times and I was able to configure it for 1.95 gigabytes. Maybe you could go a little higher, but I didn't feel like trying all the different numbers and figuring out what the maximum was to squeeze out just a few more megabytes. So in any case, that is your step one. Get your compact flash card ready. Okay. Now, step two is use the Nico Project emulator. And what you're going to do with that is load in to the hard disk a PC-98 image. Now this image is probably one you're already familiar with. This is a Yachty image from like 10 years ago. It's 542 megabytes. Now some people will be like, oh, why is that so small? Why is it not 2 gig? Well, the guy that created it, he did it for the right reason. And the reason was different PC-98 computers had different BIOS limits for the size of the hard drive. And this particular size was compatible for the, a larger number of computers. Now, my PC-9821 is an XA10. My XA10 can handle 2 GB partitions. So what I'm talking about here is something that may not work for you. You need to find out, can your computer handle 2 GB partitions or not? I can't answer that unless you have an XA10. So I have started the system up, right? Started the emulator. This is just the screensaver. I click in it. And that's going to be stuck. Oh, there it is. You're familiar with this if you've used this image. So I'm going to leave it. Now, what do? You've got to create a blank image, right? So, new disk, hard disk image. Okay, we'll call it new disk. Now we're going to call it new disk 2 GB. Going to save it. We can just type in the sizes here or select. So you notice it has 1 GB, 2 GB, 4 GB ready and available. We can look at the advanced information here. These default values are fine. So now we just hit OK. Alright, if I looked at my file system, which I actually am doing, I would see that it has been created, allocated size 2 gig. Now what do we do? Well, we're going to add it to disk number 1. Alright, now we're going to reset the emulator. What is this going to do? Well, it's going to reboot from the original Yachty, which I booted from a second ago, but now it's going to make this second new big 2 GB image available. And you can see that it's available here. This gets a little interesting, right? So the number 1 entry here, the first entry, that is my bootable Yachty. Now if I look at number 2, I don't know why is that not responding to my keys. Huh. Oh, I was stuck. Okay. This window always defaults to the right-hand side, so it's defaulted to the MS-DOS. So you hit the left arrow, and now I see I'm highlighting number 1. That's my first drive. Number 2 is the second drive. In this case, it's numbers 0 and numbers 1, but you know what it is. But this has no partitions on it. Why? Well, because it is a big blank image, big blank 2 GB image. So I need to boot though, because I need to use the disk partition tools. All right. We're booted. Now we're going to get back to the command line. So I have to partition now. How did I know that was going to happen? Let's do this right. It's not F-disk. It's just like F-disk, which had me thinking it would be F-disk. What do I mean by that? So, partition software, it doesn't matter what software it is, it doesn't matter what era it's from. It's done the same things for the last 30 years. Those things are let you view your partitions, let you create partitions, let you delete partitions. Now, as they became more advanced, they started adding features like, let's resize a partition. And that would enable some extra free space to show up. Then you could then create a new partition from, so that you could have multiple logical partitions on a single drive. All right. I think I know what to push. I think I know the button sequence here. I'm not actually using my phone at the moment. I use the Google Augmented Reality Translate. So these options are hard disk and floppy disk. Pretty sure that that's what I want. This is a warning. This is a warning screen saying, hey, you're about to partition your hard drive. Are you sure you want to do this? And the answer is yes, I do. Alright, the third option here, say 1, 2, 3, and the drive we're on, see we're on drive 1. This will let me view the partitions. That's what the third option is. It's a partition map. Okay? And then we see it. MS-DOS. You see the number of sectors, the from and to columns. And then you see the size. That is the size of megabytes. And then that symbol in the boot column means it is bootable. So now we hit escape, go back. Now, I can't do anything else to that partition, right? I don't want to. I don't want to delete it. I don't want to create one. So what I got to do is now go to drive number 2. So it's a little sneaky. Notice I selected that. It gives me the option down in the lower left corner to move to the other drive. So I'm moving to drive 2. All right, I'm on drive 2. The map. Well, there you go. There's my sectors. And you notice I have about almost 4 times as many sectors because I have about 4 times the size, right? 2 gigabytes versus half a gigabyte. Factor of 4. But there's nothing in the boot column. This is not bootable. And we already know that because we saw from the boot menu that BIOS basically provided there were no partitions. There's nothing to boot from on this drive. So we have to create one. I think this is create. We'll find out in a second. Yeah, that's create. So this is the size. Now this one here, this is important. I've seen some older information that was inaccurate about this, probably due to some updates to the emulator that have fixed some older bugs. And what they said was that this option I have selected right now doesn't work. Well, it does today. It does now, and that's the option you need. This creates a system image. I want to make this bootable, so I want to show you how this stuff works. It's bootable. Now, this is going to let me label it. basically like naming the volume. And now we're done. Sort of. What do I mean, sort of? What has to... There you go. It just formatted it. Nifty, huh? Well, it won't go that fast on real hardware. Okay, now we did it. Alright, so we're going to double check what we have. Now, if you look in the boot column, you'll see the boot symbol is there. This is now bootable. Fantastic, right? That is the exit kanji. Now we got it. Now, let's test it. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to remove that one. Actually, I'm going to remove them both. And put my new bootable one in as disk 1. You know what? And I'm going to add the other one as disk 2. Now, when I reset it, because I have 2 drives once again, it's going to ask me, what do I want to boot from? But this time I'm going to be able to choose my new one. So MS-DOS and MS-DOS. Well, that's interesting, right? So this is telling me I can boot from it. So let's do it. And it's just going to ask me, if I want to change the date and time. This is it. Not much to it. It's a minimal DOS system, just enough to boot. Obviously, I have a couple commands, right? They're in that command.com file, so I have the basic DOS commands in there. Can't really do a whole lot. Now, I'm going to show you one more trick that you might want to know. I'm going to reset this again. We'll see if I can remember which kanji setting. The trick is to set one of your drives as the default drive, right? So that it auto starts. Oh yeah, I remember now. If you look at the bottom of the screen, there's a mysterious kanji symbols that look like F.1 that really is F1. So press F1 and it's asking me, do you really want to change this to make it the default bootable drive? I'm going to say yes. See the star, the asterisk right next to that? That means it's going to boot from that every time now. So, we're just booting right now. So we booted. We're going to restart it again. This time, even though I've got the 2 drives there, it should not ask me which one do I want to run from. It should default to number 1. And it did. Now if I wanted to get that back, then you hold down the tab key and you hit reset. I'm just showing you that right now. And this will get me back to basically the BIOS boot menu. Right? There we go, we're back at the BIOS boot menu. Since this particular image doesn't do anything, I don't need to make it my default, so I'm going to undefault it. I'm going to go to number 2, just for fun. That would be how to make it the default. In reality, I'm just going to remove the other image anyway, so it doesn't matter. That might boot into basic. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I was hitting. Oh no. the keyboard. What's the Japanese key? That's the 2. I'm not on a Japanese keyboard. Here I'm trying to show my fine basic programming prowess. I messed it all up. So, BASIC is built into the firmware on the hardware computers. And obviously I have the basic ROM installed in the emulator somewhere. I can't remember if that came with it or if I extracted it. I think I extracted it. Can't remember for sure. Anyway, now you've seen a whole lot of the process. Not exactly everything, but a whole lot of the process of the proper way to use the format command to format a big blank NHD into something bootable. So now I could put this on a compact flash drive. That's the gist, right? That's what we've been trying to get to. Now I'm going to take a look at my notes. Give me a second. Yeah, so I showed you the basic process for 2 gig, but I told you at the beginning, I can't format the compact flash card to 2 gig, so I can't really use the 2 gig, right? So what would I do? Well, I run the same process as before. But instead of 2 gig, I called it 1.95. Check this out. Now, I had previously used the drop-down menu to easily select a size, but I don't want to do that and I don't have to do that. I can just do this. Now I have it, 195 gigabyte file. So, as I said, why would I do that? Well, because my compact flash card is only going to get to 1.95. It's been my experience with Windows 11. Now, what do you do with the NHD file? This is where it gets interesting. Really interesting. Make a blank, make it bootable. You've done that using the format and partitioning. Now, how do I put things in a blank NHD? Basically, how do I make a disk image? How do I create the next YADHI? I'm going to show you. You need a tool. It's called Edit Disk. Well, the shortcut, or the executable, is editdisk.exe. The tool is called Disk Explorer. I'm using version 1.69. That is definitely what you need. Now I'm going to capture that screen now. So give me a second. Okay, I figured out how to get disk recorder recording. It uses a different, probably an older graphics library that OBS didn't know how to screen capture, so I had to change some settings so you can see it. But there it is. Now, I went back to the 2 gigabyte NHD that I made. The reason is this one is partitioned and formatted. The 1.95 gigabyte one will not open because there is no partition, because I didn't go through that extra step to create the partition and format. But that would be what you would need to use, right? So, anyway, you can see what's on it right now. There were some hidden files, you may recall. You can see H on the attributes. H on the attributes over here. Yeah, I was on the recording window instead of this window. Anyway, how do I put stuff in it? Well, check this out. I have a whole library of games that have been focused on the translated games, the ones in English already, and that have already been turned into a hard disk image, and I have extracted those images. Now, how did I extract those images? Well, I actually did it using Disk Explorer, because if you select some files on a partition, you can extract them. Kind of nifty. You can also import. Or, my favorite, drag and drop. So say I want to put a game on here. How about, oh, this is fun. dead of the brain. There it is. This is everything, right? All the different music files, the message files. These are all the files that have been translated. I don't know what these other ones are. Files to run it, right? You know, the auto execute and all that. So at this point, if I save this, well, I actually it saves automatically. It's kind of interesting if you, there is no save. I'm working with the image. When I drag something in here, boom, it's in it. It's in the memory space, just like that. So I am going to exit now. And I've got to start up another app, reconfigure OBS to handle capturing a new app. That new app that you need if you're going to do any of this is HXD. It is a resource editor. What's a resource editor? Well, actually, that's a really old name for it. Resource editor is probably not even the right term. It is a binary file editor. So I can open a binary file with HXD and do all kinds of fun things. So in this case, what binary am I opening? I'm opening the image, the NHD file. And I'm calling it an image. It's not an image file yet. It's about to become one. So what is the difference between an NHD and an actual image you can write to something like a compact flash drive? That's the area we're getting into now. Well, you can see that right here. T98 HD image. You may, if you're really paying attention, seen T98 before in some of the menus, in some file types I opened, because that is the file type of an NHD file. It's what the emulators use. So you make an NHD file, you have an option of choosing what type. I think that's what we saw in the Nico menus, and this is the default. But what's the difference? What's the difference between this and an image? Because I'll tell you, my imaging software, which I use, which is Win32 Disk Imager, cannot write an NHD file to anything. Can't do anything with it. Can't open it. Just can't work with it. If we scroll through this, we know it's 2 gigabytes. Somewhere in here is dead of the brain. It's really small. We might be able to find some English, I don't know, some English resource files. And maybe all compressed or in some strange format. Anyway, they're all in here. Doesn't look like much is readable, which is fine. That's not what this exercise is about anyway. But this exercise is about why I'm in NHD. Oh man, it's gonna make me scroll up my hand. Shouldn't have done that. Maybe this will fix it. There we go. I need to remove the first 200 bytes from the NHD file. That is the header. Sorry, I said 200 bytes. It's 200 hexadecimal. So it's 512 bytes. So this column over here, these are hexadecimal offsets. So that is the first byte of the new file. So I select all this. Right? I hit delete. Now if I save this, and I'm going to save it as something different, I'm going to call it .img. I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if the screen capture captures the pop-up windows. Probably does not. But I'm just in a save as window. I saved it. New disk 2 gig .img. Save it. It takes a little while because it's 2 gigs. Now I'm done with this. and I can move to the next piece of software. Win32 Disk Imager. Let's see if I can capture that properly. It doesn't even show up. I got to stop and restart, looks like. Okay, that's good enough. Win32 Disk Imager. It's just not showing you all the Chrome around it. But this is the application. So I could pick an image file. And here's the one I just made that I just saved as .img after stripping the 512 bytes from it using HXD. Now, I don't have anything I can write to. I don't have my compact flash card set up for writing or my adapter for use with this computer because it's in my PC-98 and that's where it's staying for now. But if it was there, the software would sense it and let me choose my compact flash card. And then I would just click write and it would write that image to the compact flash card. Now, if you recall, the image was already formatted, partitioned properly using the Nico, right? And now we're writing all this new stuff to it. It could be tons of games, whatever software you want, right? And then you create this image, and now you put the compact flash card in your adapter, right? Your IDE adapter, and plug it in your hardware. Boot up and hold down that tab key on the real hardware so that you see the boot menu of options. Choose your compact flash card as your boot device. You can hit F1 to make it the default one. If it's the only thing there, that's what it's gonna boot from. It'll find the bootable image and boot from it. If there's some problem, it's probably going to dump you into basic, right? And you'll know right away you got a problem, and that would be checking your settings on your adapter, checking if you've got some conflict. Maybe your jumpers are not set right. There are jumpers on the compact flash IDE adapter, by the way. So you need to make sure that your hardware is configured right. If you got 2 drives in there or 2 compact flash adapters, make one the master, one the slave, or use cable select, and eventually you'll figure out which is which. Although it can be a little confusing on the hardware because it will change drive letters on you, which is kind of a hassle. But this is the way to do it. This is the whole set of steps, other than me showing you how to partition the compact flash card in the first place. Now, I've been doing this from the perspective of compact flash card. It doesn't have to be compact flash card. I could have plugged in an IDE hard drive and done the same thing and made partitions, right? Using Windows, and then wrote to that drive using, well, Disk Imager or maybe Image Burn. I haven't tried Image Burn. I use that for burning to CDs. I'm not sure if it can burn this type of image. Might be able to, but again, haven't tried. Now, the interesting thing about the hard drives and larger compact flash cards is while you're limited to like a 2 gig size, you're not limited to a total size of the physical drive or the physical flash card. I have a 4 gigabyte compact flash card. It has 2 partitions on it. Each one's approximately 2 gig. They're a little less because of that bug that I mentioned. One has Windows 98 second edition Japanese version on it, and the other has my 2 gigabyte big image, with more games in it. That's really all it is. Now you know how to make it yourself. I don't have a place to put it. you know, uh, so I'm not really sharing the image, but you have the knowledge now to make your own, and you may have like slightly different hardware, you may have some different constraints, so my image might not be real useful for you anyway, but now you've got all the information you need to be able to create these, whether on hard drives or compact flash, and go to town, put some games on it, enjoy the nostalgia of odd Japanese games. That's it. Hope you find this useful.